Hello children. Today in moving charges and magnetism, we will study following topics. First, Ampere's circuital law. We will see how using this law we can derive expression for magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor, magnetic field due to a solenoid, a straight solenoid and a toroid. We will also discuss with force between parallel current carrying conductors and derive expression for the same and solve some numerical based on the concepts. We start with Ampere's circuital law. This law is used to find magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor. It states that the line integral of magnetic field over a closed loop is equals to mu naught times the net current I enclosed by the loop. That means to find the magnetic field, we have to choose a closed loop enclosing the current carrying conductor. And the magnetic field over this loop, the total magnetic field over this loop will be mu naught times the net current I enclosed by the loop. Let us take a straight conductor carrying a current I. The magnetic field around it can be represented by right hand thumb rule. If you imagine a conductor such that current points normally outwards, to apply Ampere's law, we choose a loop of radius r. We know around the conductor, the magnetic field will be in the anti-clockwise direction. So if we take a small part dl of this loop, magnetic field will be parallel to it, and hence we can say integral of B dot dl is equals to mu naught I. So the mathematical form of Ampere's law is integral B dot dl is mu naught I. And this expression can be used to find magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor. Let us take a conductor carrying a current I. We want to find magnetic field at a distance r at some point P. We will choose a closed loop around this conductor. The radius of the loop is same as the distance of the point, and the magnetic field around the conductor will be in anti-clockwise direction. If we apply Ampere's law, we have B dot dl is mu naught I. We can write B dl cos theta is mu naught I. Theta here is 0. You can see B and dl are parallel vectors. So theta being 0, we can say B dl cos 0 is mu naught I, or B integral of dl. Integral of dl will be the total length of the loop. It will be equals to 2 pi r. So B into 2 pi r is mu naught I, or B can be written as mu naught I upon 2 pi r. Magnetic field is inversely proportional to distance from the conductor. Okay, for a given current, magnetic field is inversely proportional to distance from the conductor. Here is a question based on Ampere's law. It is a solved example from NCERT. Figure shows a long straight wire of circular cross section, radius A, carrying a steady current I. The current I is uniformly distributed across this cross section. Calculate the magnetic field in the region R greater than A and R less than A. So for R greater than A, the point is lying outside the wire. To apply Ampere's law, we need to choose a closed loop enclosing this conductor, the current carrying wire. According to Ampere's law, integral of B dot dl is mu naught I. This part of the question is exactly same as the magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor. Okay, so here when we evaluate this integral, we will first write integral of b dl cos theta as mu naught I. Theta is 0 because due to a straight conductor, magnetic field around it will be parallel to the closed loop at any point. Hence, theta will be 0. So, integral of b dl cos 0 is mu naught I, or b integral dl, which will be equals to b into 2 pi r, is mu naught I. Further, we can write magnetic field as mu naught I upon 2 pi r. So, you can see here the magnetic field does not depends upon the radius of the wire. Okay, it depends only upon the distance from the wire. So, B is inversely proportional to R. But if we take a point inside the wire, that is for R less than A, we have to choose a closed loop passing through that point, and hence now the radius of the loop will be less than the radius of the wire. Hence, we can write integral b dot dl as mu naught I dash. I dash is the current enclosed by the loop. To find I dash, we make use of the given condition that current is uniformly distributed across the cross section. And as a result, we can see over pi a square, the current is I. In the section pi a square, the current is I. Hence, for the section pi r square, because distribution is uniform, we can just find out the current in the area pi r square. It will be I into pi r square upon pi a square, or this can be written as r square upon a square into I. We can substitute this value of I dash, and as a result we get integral b dot dl, or b dl cos 0 is mu naught I dash. Further, we can say b into 2 pi r is equals to mu naught r square upon a square into I. Okay, we can solve this equation further, and b will be equals to mu naught I r upon 2 pi a square. So, for a given wire, magnetic field is directly proportional to distance from the center. It is directly proportional to r. Okay, so for r less than a, field is proportional to r, and for r greater than a, field is inversely proportional to r. We can represent this result graphically. We take distance along x-axis and magnetic field along y-axis. So for r less than a, field is proportional to r and hence a straight line, and beyond a, field is inversely proportional to r, so we represent it by the curve. This shows field is inversely proportional to r. Magnetic field due to a straight solenoid can be derived by using Ampere's circuital law. A solenoid consists of a long wire wound in the form of a helix, where the neighboring turns are closely spaced. Each turn can be regarded as a circular loop. When current is passed through the solenoid, the net magnetic field is the vector sum of field due to all the turns. The magnetic field between the turns is 0, and the magnetic field along the axis of the solenoid is uniform. For an ideal solenoid, the length of the solenoid is large in comparison to its radius, and under such conditions, the field outside the solenoid is taken as 0 and field along the axis is uniform. That is why we have represented here the field by equidistant parallel lines. It shows that the field along the axis of the solenoid is uniform. To apply Ampere's law, we choose a closed loop PQRS. Let A be the length of the loop, okay, and its breadth can have any arbitrary value. So we have chosen a closed loop PQRS to apply Ampere's law. According to Ampere's law, integral B dot dl is equals to mu naught I. We will evaluate this integral over the loop PQRSP. Hence, this integral will be divided into 4 parts. Integral B dot dl can be written as P to Q B dot dl plus Q to R B dot dl plus R to S B dot dl plus S to P B dot dl. Now, Q to R B dot dl is equals to S to P B dot dl is 0. Both these terms are 0 because the length of the loop is perpendicular to magnetic field, and we know if theta is 90, cos 90 is 0. So the two dot products over the loop Q to R and S to P, over the part of the loop Q to R and S to P will be 0 because theta is 90. Also, the integral R to S B dot dl is 0 because magnetic field outside the solenoid is 0. Hence, we will be left with only one part, that is integral B dot dl is equals to P to Q B dot dl, and PQ is equals to A. Hence, we can write integral B dot dl is B into A. In the equation 1, on the right hand side, the term I represents the current enclosed by the solenoid. To find the total current enclosed by the solenoid, we assume number of turns per unit length of the solenoid to be N. Let the number of turns per unit length be N. Let I be the current through each turn. The length of the solenoid is A. The part of the solenoid under consideration is A. So total number of turns in this part will be NA. Okay. The total number of turns on length A will be NA. Hence the current will be NA into I. So the total current enclosed by the loop is NAI. So what we can write now? B into A is equals to mu naught NAI. A cancels out and magnetic field is mu naught NI. So magnetic field depends upon the nature of medium enclosed by the solenoid, number of turns per unit length, and the current passed through the solenoid. If we take some other medium as the core of the solenoid, the magnetic field can be written as B is equals to mu R mu naught Ni, where mu R is the relative permeability of the medium. We take a numerical on straight solenoid. This is exercise question number 4.8. A closely wound solenoid 80 cm long has 5 layers of windings of 400 turns each. The diameter of the solenoid is 1.8 cm. If the current carried is 8 amperes, estimate the magnitude of the field inside the solenoid near its center. We know along the axis field is uniform. So we want to find out field at the center of the solenoid. We know B is equals to mu naught Ni. I is given as 8 ampere. Length is 80 centimeter, means 0.8 meters. Total number of turns. We have 5 layers of 400 turns each. Hence total number of turns will be 2000. And turns per unit length will be total number of turns divided by N. That is 2500. Okay, number of turns per unit length is 2500. We can substitute these values in the expression for B. We know that mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. Hence the result is B is equals to 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 into 2500 into 8, which is 8 pi into 10 to the power minus 3 Tesla. So magnetic field along the axis of the solenoid will be uniform everywhere, and it will be directed along the length of the solenoid, along the axis of the solenoid. Magnetic field due to a toroidal solenoid can be found by applying Ampere's law. A toroid consists of a hollow circular ring on which a large number of turns of wire are closely wound. When current is passed through the toroid, magnetic field is set up. The magnetic field outside the solenoid, that is at any point Q, is always 0. Also, the magnetic field in the empty region bounded by the solenoid is 0. Field will exist only in the core of the solenoid. Okay, if we take any point P in the core of the solenoid, here the magnetic field is not 0. To apply Ampere's law, we choose a small element over the closed loop. The magnetic field will be tangential to the loop at any point. Hence, the angle between dl and B is 0. We know, according to Ampere's law, B dot dl is equals to mu naught I. To find out the total current enclosed by the loop, let us take N represent the number of turns per unit length. We know the length of the loop will be 2 pi r. Okay, r is the radius of the loop, hence the length will be 2 pi r, and current through each turn is I. So, total number of turns will be N into 2 pi r, and hence total current will be N 2 pi r into I. Now the integral B dot dl. We know B dot dl will be B dl cos theta. Theta is 0 and cos 0 is 1. So we can write it as now B integral of dl. Integral of dl will be the total length of the loop, that is 2 pi r. Hence we get integral of B dot dl is equals to B into 2 pi r. We substitute the value of total current and integral B dl in equation 1. The result is B into 2 pi r is equals to mu naught N into 2 pi r into the current I. 2 pi r cancels out, and the result is B is equals to mu naught Ni. This expression is same as the magnetic field due to a straight solenoid. This shows magnetic field does not depend upon the shape of the solenoid. It depends only upon the nature of the medium in the core, the number of turns per unit length, and the current that is passed through the solenoid. If we take any other medium as the core, magnetic field B can be written as mu r mu naught Ni, where mu r is the relative permeability of the medium in the core of the solenoid. So we can apply Ampere's law to find magnetic field due to a toroid. We take a numerical now. It is question number 4.17 of the exercise. A toroid has a core of inner radius 25 cm and outer radius 26 cm, around which 3500 turns of wire are wound. If the current in the wire is 11 ampere, what is the magnetic field outside the toroid, inside the core of toroid, and in the empty space surrounded by the toroid? We know magnetic field outside the toroid is 0 and also the magnetic field in the empty space surrounded by the toroid is 0. So answer to A and C is magnetic field is 0. Now we take the core of the toroid. In the core, magnetic field is mu naught Ni. Okay, we want to find out number of turns. So total number of turns is 3500. Number of turns per unit length will be 3500 upon 2 pi r. We are not given r, but we are given the inner radius and the outer radius. Okay, so inner radius is 25, outer is 26, and hence the radius of the loop r will be taken as average of r1 and r2, that is 25.5 centimeters. Hence we can find out number of turns per unit length. Substitute this value in the expression for magnetic field. We know mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. Current is 11 ampere, and this gives the magnetic field as 3 into 10 to the power minus 2 Tesla. Okay, so we can use the formula B is equals to mu naught Ni to find magnetic field in the core of the toroid, and outside the toroid and in the empty space surrounded by the toroid, magnetic field will always be 0. Next we will see force between two parallel infinitely long current carrying conductors. If we take two parallel conductors which carry current in the same direction or in opposite direction, they will exert force on each other. First, let us take the two conductors are carrying current in opposite direction. One of them is carrying current upwards, through the other the current is in the downward direction. You can see these conductors will repel each other. They are repelling each other when the current is in the opposite direction. On the other hand, if again we take conductors, parallel conductors, and pass current in the same direction, these conductors, they attract each other. Okay, you can see current through both the conductors is in the downward direction, and these conductors, they are attracting each other. Okay, so now we want to derive the expression for force between these conductors, the magnitude, and we will represent the direction of force between the two parallel current carrying conductors. We take two conductors. First, a conductor PQ carrying a current I1. We place a second conductor at a distance r from it. The current in the second conductor is I2 and it is in the same direction as I1. Now, the current I1 flowing through the first conductor will produce a magnetic field. And using right hand thumb rule, you can see the magnetic field B1 will be pointing inwards. Similarly, the current I2 flowing through the second conductor will produce a magnetic field, and at PQ, the magnetic field due to I2 will be outwards. We have used right hand thumb rule again. So B1 and B2 are the field produced by the conductor PQ and RS respectively. We can see that using right hand thumb rule, B1 and B2 are in opposite direction. Now we want to see what will be the force. If you take the conductor RS, current is in the upward direction, magnetic field is inwards. When you apply Fleming's left hand rule, the force on RS will be towards PQ. Using Fleming's left hand rule, the force will be towards the conductor PQ. That means RS is attracted towards PQ. Similarly, force on PQ. Current is upwards, magnetic field points outwards. When you apply Fleming's left hand rule, you will see the conductor will experience a force towards RS. So the two conductors, they experience force towards each other. Hence we say that these conductors will attract each other. Similarly, you can justify why current in opposite direction, the conductors will repel each other. Now let us derive the expression for force. First, let us write the expression for magnetic field on RS due to current in PQ. Current in PQ is I1. It is a straight conductor. So magnetic field will be mu naught I1 upon 2 pi R. It is pointing inwards, represented by cross. Force on the second conductor due to current I2 through it will be given by, we know force is I L cross B, or we can write it as B1 I2 L sine 90, because the angle between current and magnetic field is 90 degree. So the force will be B1 I2 L sine 90. We have to take magnetic field B1. B1 is acting on RS. Current flowing through RS is I2. So IBL sine theta. We know sine 90 is 1. We substitute the expression for B1. The result is mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R into L. If we find force per unit length, we will get mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R. So F21 is the force experienced by RS due to the magnetic field produced by the first conductor. So force on second conductor due to magnetic field of the first conductor. Similarly, we can find out force on first conductor now. The magnetic field B2 will be mu naught I2 upon 2 pi R. Force on the first conductor will be B2 I1 L sine 90. Again sine 90 is 1 here. So the expression is mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R into L. And force per unit length will be mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R. So we can see from equation 2 and 4, the force per unit length on the two conductors is same. The magnitude of force acting on the two conductors is same, that is mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R. Of course, the vectors are in opposite direction. If we write vectorially, we can say F12 is equals to minus of F21. If we take magnitudes, the magnitude of both the forces are equal, and it has to be, because we know according to Newton's third law, to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so the action and reaction forces are between first conductor and the second conductor. They are equal, forces are equal and opposite in direction. Definition of 1 ampere. The formula of force per unit length that we have derived can be used to define the SI unit of current. In this equation, if we assume I1 and I2 each is 1 ampere, the conductors are separated by 1 meter in air or vacuum, then force per unit length on each conductor will be mu naught upon 2 pi, because remaining terms are 1. Unity. So force per unit length is mu naught upon 2 pi, that is 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter. Hence we can say 1 ampere is the value of that steady current which when maintained in each of the two very long, straight, parallel conductors of negligible cross section placed 1 meter apart in vacuum would produce on each of these conductors a force equals to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter of length. Okay, so if current in each conductor is 1 ampere, distance between the conductors is 1 meter, placed in air or vacuum, then force per unit length will be 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter. Let us represent the field due to the parallel conductors. If we consider current in two conductors are in the same direction, using right hand thumb rule, we will see that the magnetic field lines between the conductors will be directed opposite to each other. Whereas if the current are in the opposite direction, then between the two conductors the fields are in the same direction. Hence, opposite currents they repel each other, and current in the same direction they attract each other. This will further become clear when we draw field lines. We have drawn the field lines using right hand thumb rule. We can see for the parallel currents between the two conductors, you will have field in the opposite direction, whereas in opposite currents the field between the two conductors are in the same direction. So opposite currents they repel each other, and current in the same direction they attract each other. We take a question from the exercise NCERT textbook, question number 22. The wires which connect the battery of an automobile to its starting motor carry a current of 300 ampere. What is the force per unit length between the wires if they are 70 centimeter long and 1.5 centimeter apart? Is the force attractive or repulsive? So we have a motor connected to a battery. The wires that are connecting the battery to the motor carry a current of 300 amperes. Okay, so we can see the two connecting wires will have current flowing in opposite direction. The length of these wires is 70 centimeter and the distance between them is 1.5 centimeter. So the magnitude of force per unit length will be mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi r. Okay, current I1 is equals to I2 is 300 ampere, length is 0.70 meter and distance between the wires is 0.015 meter. So force per unit length will be mu naught upon 2 pi. It is equals to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7. We substitute the value of current and R and the result is 1.2 newtons per meter. Okay, and these wires they will repel each other because the current are in the opposite direction, hence the force will be repulsive. Okay, we take another question based on the same formula. A straight wire AB carries a current I. A proton travels with a speed v parallel to the wire at a distance r such that its direction is opposite to the direction of current as shown in the figure. What is the magnitude and direction of force experienced by the proton? We take a current carrying conductor. At a distance r from the conductor, we will have a magnetic field produced by the current, and the proton will move in the magnetic field and hence experience a force. First, let us see the magnetic field. It will point inwards according to right hand thumb rule, and magnetic field is given by mu naught I upon 2 pi r. A proton moves opposite to current with a velocity v. The force experienced by it will be qvb sin theta. Theta is 90 and we substitute the value of b. So the result is F is equals to qv mu naught I upon 2 pi r. We can also write force as mu naught I ev upon 2 pi r. Charge on proton is same as the charge on the electron, okay, but positive. So force is mu naught I ev upon 2 pi r. Using Fleming's left hand rule, we can find out the direction of force, and the proton will be repelled by the current carrying conductor. The force is repulsive. Okay.